All right. So, hello and welcome to the Gauntlet Hangouts. This is session 3 of 3 for Kuro, which is a sadly out of print J horror cyberpunk RPG, which was distributed for a while in the States, but now you can only get the English language version in PDF form. So, we are going to be taking up with our characters. They've had some incidents that they've engaged with, and they are going to. We'll talk about the leads that they have. We'll also maybe take a look at what their daily lives are a little bit. Maybe we'll get a little sense of that, since I always think that's interesting. Before we do that, I want to give the characters some points to spend on this. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is give you 10 points. The point spends are 1 for 1 for the specialties, or if you're doing a group like communication or driving or pop culture, whatever, 2 for 1 on that. Sherry, this is a time where you say that's not enough points.
I would, but the cat's standing on my mouse.
Yeah.
So,
and if you do want to change specialties, or if you want to move some points around, we can do that as well.
sure. Now, how many was it? Because
So what were you? How many points were you giving us? What can we?
So you have 10 points to spend on your skills.
Ooh.
For any of the specialties, the ones that are in the right-hand column, it's 1 for 1. Spend 1 point, get 1 point up. For the sort of group skills that are in the left-hand column, spend 2 points to raise it up by 1.
Got it. Because if we raise up, say, so for me, for instance, if I raise communications, which is at 3 right now, it would cost me 2 points, and that would end up bumping up empathy, fast talk, and intimidation, right?
That is correct. And you can go ahead and manually add that in. So some of the ones that you have multiples in, the efficiency is to buy the group.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Does that end up affecting the things in parentheses like expertise and mastery and all that?
If you were to raise, I think your specialty is, I think there's a special cost for raising those. So let's say if you want to add one of those effects, and you can stack them on a thing, like you could have expertise and boost. Let's say it's 2 points for one of those. I think that's the easiest way to do it, rather than me hunting this down.
So it's not by the level of the item. It's actually you have to pay for that additionally.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to handle it.
Okay. So
I'm
if
certain it's more involved in the rules.
I was going to say, so if I bump up investigation, because I think it's sort of silly that I'm a PI with a fighting than I am investigating, but maybe that's what this is meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
If I bump it up by 1, how much is it going to raise my sub skills? Do
So
I keep the same gap that they have? So if I have an investigation of 2 and a searching of 3, and I raise investigation by 1, is that going to take searching up to 4?
Yeah. So if you raise investigation up to 3, both your searching will go to 4, your shadowing will go to 5.
Okay. Are you saying, though, that we could actually just buy the boost separate?
You could, yeah. You could, it attaches to a specialty, like
Okay.
shadowing or searching. And for 2 points, you could add one of those to that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Is context different?
No, we'll consider that the same. Jerry, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Well, one more question, if I may.
Yeah, please.
So, can I have a sword? Because in this last one, I really wished I had a sword because the gun just wouldn't have helped.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can talk about what kinds of hand-to-hand weapons can be found. So yeah, you could put under hand-to-hand. You could change that brawling to sword, or you could just add a sword sub-skill.
Okay.
And it would be, if you just about one point in it, it would be a 4.
Oh, wait. So if I buy it's 4, it'll be 1 for 1. You were saying so, but just adding it is going to get me.
You would add your hand-to-hand.
Got it. Okay.
Let me look at the. Something like the sound of me flipping pages on a microphone.
And you said the boost would cost 2 points?
Yep.
Okay.
And so why don't we do it this way? The other benefit that I'm going to give all of you is you may all make another pick from the gear list, either from column A or column B. That's how you can get a flexible sword that you collapse and not have strapped across your back like you're a shadow runner.
But maybe Naoki really likes Shadowrun.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
All set, sort of. Anything else you can add on the fly if you haven't made those decisions? So last time, you were trapped in this area of town. Essentially, the place had been locked down, which led to you uncovering a supernatural. I'm going to, question mark incident that involved some nano materials and apparently some occult connection. You were able to locate patient 0 for this and burn a building to the ground and get out of there essentially before the police or as importantly, the corporate agents for Akatacon showed up. Now, what you have, I think, and I may be wrong in this, but I think the 2 big leads that you have are Okatacon having some strange nanomaterial stuff that they're working with that this thing could happen to. And then you have the source of apparently the occult materials that Basho Abe was using that interacted with this, essentially a cult shop called Hanzo's in another part of the city. And those are the two big leads I think that you have. So we're going to take up today with all of you kind of deciding how you want to proceed. Let's start with Naoki. Took about half your health, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you show up at the hospital, I'm sure that Akari patched you up a bit. When you show up at the hospital and the intake person asks what happened, what do you say?
And where is this hospital? It's outside the blockade zone?
Oh yeah, but the blockade is down at this point. We're taking, I'm assuming, several hours later, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, but I was just wondering because if it's outside of it, because that means we got out of it, and so that was just for clarification. Anyway,
Absolutely.
So let's see, what happened to me? So I got hit by, I smashed into a trash can, and then I got entangled and hit by the hair thing, right? I'm trying to remember what the actual damage was, though. What it looked
a
like.
little bit of choking, a lot of being thrown around.
Yeah. I fell down the stairs.
Okay. They nod in that way that okay, we'll accept that. You took actually even more damage, Makoto. So what kind of shape do you think you're in? Because you took a lot.
I did. But she could take a lot. So let's see here. I think I know I lost a chunk of my hair and I got smacked around as well. So didn't I get stabbed in the side or something? Oh no, in the leg.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in pretty bad shape. I could probably use something more than the derma stuff that he used to keep me from bleeding to death.
So when you go to your clinic or hospital, what is the story that you give?
I'll say that. Oh well, let's see here. I will say that essentially it was sort of hit and run. I was delivering a pizza and someone rode by with a bike and smashed me into the into one of those little fences that surrounds a tree kind of thing.
So for all three of you, figure out how much you've lost, and we'll say right now you can heal back half of that. Akari came out pretty well from that. I mean, just some minor scrapes and bruises. Some of it from bad driving, some of it from other things.
Wasn't it that Akari turned and ran?
A smart choice for a sensible tomorrow. What happened to Yoko?
Oh,
were we taking her to the hospital? Was she fine? Were we just worried about what was going to happen to her? I can't quite remember.
I think
right?
she went with you to the hospital. You had her in the van. You specifically said that at the end. So she would have gone to the hospital. She is more shaken and clearly in kind of a fugue state at this point, to the point where they probably will say, we're going to keep her under observation for a couple of days because she is somewhat non-responsive. But she is there and she is safe. So do you take her to your clinic, Akari, or do you the place that you have connections with, or do you take her somewhere more anonymous? What do you think?
If we're all going to the same place is the idea, yeah, I would not go where I am known because they are immediately going to say, hey, why are your friends lying about their injuries? Because it's like that; those aren't injuries you get from that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think that with your, why don't you roll me? I think this is appropriate. Let's have you roll your academic contacts to kind of get her, safe and kind of anonymous, and get everything uh, in good shape here at the hospital.
What characteristic would that be?
I think that's going to be charisma. It just occurred to me that I put the abbreviations in when there was plenty of space to write out the full name of the stats. Years of habit.
11.
Okay, so you talk to them for a while. You know the lingo. You know how to call, and they will, for at least 48 hours, keep Yoko under observation. And the systems are not particularly well connected, so it's not as easy for someone to, say, find her by doing a search or anything like that. So you can get her set, and you can get Makoto and Naoki cleaned up a little bit. So let's actually, I think, cut to the hospital cafeteria. That kind of a greenish white light with the linoleum and so on. It's not particularly well occupied. You can hear the sounds of the kitchen in the background as they're working to get meals up into the hospital. But you can talk with each other about what your next step is, and how you want to proceed. And of course, and you've got your haircut, Naoki. So yeah, got some basic krill broth soup that they provide, and you can figure that out. Naoki, you're a private investigator. You're a take charge kind of person at times. Let's start with you. If the camera comes to you as you're speaking.
And I think Naoki is sitting at the table, and he's got the sort of flipping it in his fingers, thinking about what to do. Because remember, we took Yoko's janitor's badge.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking that we've got two places I think we can go. So we're all sitting at the same table. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Just joined up.
Just hard framing you together.
Yeah. So where do we want to go next? Do we think Hanso is the place we need to go, or do we need to go to the corporation where this might have all started?
I mean, isn't the third option just leave? Just go away from this? What even happened? Is that nanotechnology? Is that witchcraft? You're telling me it's both?
Makoto, do you want to bring Akari up to speed?
And she goes, it's both. And she goes, and both is everywhere. You've probably been seeing it all along.
I suppose that would explain a lot of things.
So the spirits have come back, and a lot of them aren't happy. And there's a lot of technologies and a lot of people trying to find a fast way to do things. So we don't know if the company did this on purpose or if this is part of that distribution network, that store, Hashimoto's?
Hanzo's.
Sorry. Which one infused it?
Well, we know we have someone who's an expert on the spiritual. Do any of us feel expert on the technological side of this? kind of looking at Naoki on that because I know I don't.
Yeah. Your overclocker bugged out at the first instance. Like the second the blockade went down, he jumped on his bike and it took off.
Yeah.
That was a good idea. So does it make more sense to engage this in an area of strength with Makoto, or if we're not sure that Akata-kan is doing this on purpose to try to find that out first?
Well, the other thing is, and I think this is where he dramatically opens his small satchel that like attaches closely to his body and pulls out the what was it, the health boost kit that he took from the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
We have a sample of the nanites. And we have hair samples from the others. You could do a comparison to see is there a difference. If it's the same as what came out of the corporation, then we need to go to the corporation. If something has changed, then we probably need to go to Hanzo's. Does that make sense?
Now that is something that I feel comfortable doing. And I might be able to talk my way into the lab right here.
Excellent.
So he hands it to you. He says, I find it a little strange that you are more comfortable doing this when we know that this is an infection and we've seen what this can do, but okay, that's your specialty.
There are protocols, Naoki. This is where I have the advantage.
And I go, and she's right. There are protocols. I have the wards that we know will set back the spiritual part of it, the bad infection. She goes, I will come with you in case it does have that infection already.
And I kind of look down at where the one nano ink tattoo left the scarring of the ward and just nod.
She goes, that means we have to steal some scrubs. She seems very excited about that part.
Yeah, it's not the way I was going to go with it, but if it makes Makoto happy, we can definitely raid the laundry.
Is this a costume change? Is that what you're saying?
So one costume change later. Akari, tell me, just kind of give me a general sense. I don't think it's going to be hard for you to get into the labs here. So just kind of tell me what that looks like.
I mean, we've got the right clothing now, so it's basically holding a clipboard and walking with sense of purpose. And nobody wants to get involved in whatever we're doing. So.
Okay. Yeah, and you've arrived still pretty early in the morning. Things have not gotten rolling here at the hospital, so you can make your way in. And your intent is, when you get to the machinery, is to check the sample that's in this boost drug and compare it to the hair. Is that right? Let's have you roll biology.
All right, and I'm guessing intelligence.
That seems right.
And accuracy is okay. +4 to success margin if successful. So you have to be successful for that to matter.
Yes.
Okay. Lousy 4. So that is an 8, or if successful, a 12?
I think that this is 12.
Okay.
Because the basic thing you want to know is, are these the same? And I'm going to answer that basic question, and then I'm going to let you follow up. When you look at the material that is in the container, there's obviously a lot of chemicals and a substance that's made to transfer the nanites, all of that kind of fluid and so on in there. And so you can get a sense of that pattern. It is stable in that it's not in a biological environment, so those nanites haven't activated. So that's fine. When you look at the hair, you will find there are those nanites, they're dead. Essentially, you can see that they're deactivated, but they look different. Something has changed them. The color, the shape, everything. Whereas the nanites in the jar seem, I mean, they're mechanical, they're molecular, that kind of thing. The material on the hair, it's like they become organic.
And that would be unexpected for something like this to do.
Yes. I mean, that kind of thing, you will know that kind of nanites that would essentially 3D print themselves as organics. That's kind of crazy. So I'm going to give you a follow-up question.
Does anyone have a good idea for a follow-up question? So go ahead, Chair.
Well, essentially, they've made themselves organic. So, organic, like what? What is the form that they've chosen?
I think that you can tell that what they have done is they have adapted to those hair cells. Like they have become like hair cells, and the sort of the live ones at the root before the hair gets longer. And that seems to be what's gone on here. It still doesn't make any sense because they still shouldn't have been able to do what you saw them do.
Take over an entire skull with hair coming out of every orifice. It shouldn't do.
Yes.
And it was a health boost, not a specific like hair tonic or something. It was just a general.
Yeah. What the impression you got was that Basha Abe had been sick for a while. Maybe taking things. You knew that he was, essentially doing designer drugs and things. And Yoko brought him the health boost that she stole in hopes that it would make him better.
So I'm wondering, it seems like it's only affecting the hair based on what we've seen. So what is it that makes it so adaptable to the hair and not to other types of cells?
Whatever X factor was introduced, you suspect probably was in his system beforehand, and that it interacted with the other stuff he had taken, and whatever that weirdness was certainly transformed that nano thing. It used it to power itself. I mean, it's unclear.
And we think that might be what we learned at Hanzo's.
Yes.
Potentially. Now, we had seen, I'm trying to remember how many people affected by this. There was the terrifying head in the street sweeper.
Mm-hmm.
And Basho. Was it just those two?
There was also the apartment manager whose head twisted around.
Okay.
Which you're pretty certain was dealt with by those two Akatakan operatives who were there. If there were others, you didn't find them.
Which, blessing and a curse, perhaps.
Yes.
And both of those were actually attacked by Basho.
Yes. Your sense from what you saw is that Basho was killing people and doing these transformations to them, but that they themselves weren't transforming other people necessarily. I mean,
At least not yet.
That's at a guess.
So I obviously tell all this to Makoto from what I figured out with the analysis. Do you think that whatever caused this change, we might be able to find out about it at Hanzo's?
If you say it was something he had in his system, and we know that's where he was getting a lot of the things he was dumping in his system, that seems to make sense. Yikes. And she kind of stops. She goes, if is in his system, it means other people have been doing that, but at least they don't have the nanites that let that thing manifest. So that's good.
And the health boost was not on the market. This was something that Yoko had smuggled out.
Yep, experimental.
So at least access to that is limited. So hopefully, it's not that particular drug / spiritual interaction. Hopefully, is not occurring in anyone else.
Right. She sort of nods and says, "It seems dangerous, but might just be the strange interaction. But they came armed for bear, so who knows?"
I'm going to pause and cut from the two of you there to Naoki. You're keeping watch, I assume, out downstairs. Are you outside? Where do we see you here in the hospital?
I'm standing watch probably outside the lab door,
Okay.
and probably doing research on the ELO, like looking up Hansos, to see like what I can find, about Hanso, about the location, about the cult, anything that I can find on the, what is it? We don't really have internet anymore, but on the Neo equivalent of it.
Right. Let's have you roll with in investigation.
Sweet. That's why I bumped it. It was straight investigation or searching? Investigation? That's fine.
Yeah, I think searching is on site.
Okay. Why does it keep spinning like that? There we go. So that is an 11 plus, oh, sorry, that's a 6. I could roll it again. Ha. So that's 8, 14, plus my investigation of 3, so that's 17.
All right, let me give you some info, and I will let you ask 2 follow-up questions. Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
So Hanzo's pops up. It is essentially pre-incident. It was a antique occult store that shows up. The person who was in charge of that, Hanzo, passed away shortly after the things went down, and a new person by the name of Cryptic Aishin took over.
Cryptic Aishin?
Cryptic Aishin. And he's got a very bad rep. Because you're kind of checking law enforcement stuff. He's been picked up. He's listed as a questionable person for some reason, even before that. But he's definitely tied in with a set of criminals. Essentially, they're listed as foreign criminal gang. So you think maybe people who are here in undercover. Checking through, it looks like they might be a group of Thai people working underground. And I think that you'll definitely you'll get the whiff of that off of it. Let me ask you what's your first sort of follow-up question, and feel free, don't have to be specific. You can ask in the sort of the apocalypse world style, PBTA style questions if you want.
Oh, okay. What's the best way in? And I guess I can mean this not just like physically how to get in, but what's our way to sort of get inside without them particularly being concerned by us? So infiltrating, if you will.
So it's definitely in another part of town. The shop is in Odaiba, which is one of the areas that's on the waterfront, essentially. Not a great area. A lot of people who work out on the islands and stuff live there, and it's essentially lower class housing and so on there. The shops are in some like maze-like buildings. Hanzo's actually is sort of, you have to go through a couple of different ways to get down in there. It is, from what you can tell, definitely an occult shop that people frequent. So if somebody goes in with some knowledge of the occult, that's the people they cater to. And you think that that knowledge, will put them a little more at ease. Does that seem fair?
Mhm.
Okay. And
That's
you can
helpful.
get a sense of the physical layout too from that. So you can kind of drop that map into your pod so that you can pull that up. What is your second question?
I guess I'm looking for any unusual events that might be connected to Hanzo's.
Like
So-
in that area?
So yeah, so maybe cross-referencing the people that I can, assuming that there are surveillance cameras near the store, which may not be likely depending on the neighborhood. If I can cross-reference people that went in and out of the store with any unusual events that might have happened to those people or to people connected to them.
Yeah, I think one of the things you'll get is, you pull up some bits and pieces. And one of the things you will definitely see is a person that you recognize. That guy who was doing the tattoos that were summoning demons. You put him there several months ago. And that's definitely, you hadn't seen before. There was a connection you hadn't made before. You will also see some of his crew come back and forth. You have the sense that they must have a place to hang out in the area, not immediately adjacent, but within the same maybe block or two. And then the other thing that's going to pop up in the sort of the Odaiba, incidents that is an anomaly for you, is a lot of people drowning. And not drowning like out at sea in the ocean. This is one of those places where they have a lot of canals that run through with the sort of the walkways and crosswalks. And people commit suicide, people fall in, that kind of thing. But the numbers are there's a strong statistical deviation. Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Akari, Makoto, you can finish up with this. You've got the info, and I assume you're going to meet with Naoki and talk about next steps, head out of the hospital.
Yes.
Makoto, I think is the three of you are kind of getting ready to go, and you're getting to essentially the lobby to head out. You will see those two Okada-kan agents are talking at the front desk. And one of them is clearly looking at a data pad, like checking things out, like maybe scanning for something in particular.
And do we know about the RFID on the sample?
That has not been revealed yet, because Akari only rolled an 8.
Oh, okay. But I thought that Naoki knew about it.
No, that
Would-
was an off.
Oh, that was. Oh, okay. So, well, and do the sensible thing and back away and essentially ask Akari if there's a back door that we can leave by.
Yeah, they haven't seen us yet. There's no indication of that.
They have not.
Yeah, kind of look at Naoki to see if he says anything different, but otherwise, yeah, we'll skedaddle out the rear.
Yeah. So tell me what you think is the most cinematic exit area that you can make here from the hospital.
How sneaky do we need to be? Like, it's not like a prison break, so.
No.
I figure it might be putting Makoto into a wheelchair and covering her up with something so that she's not visible, because she's probably the one that stands out the most of all of us. And wheeling her out like the back entrance.
Although she's in scrubs still, and you are not, so it might make sense to keep your idea, but put Naoki in the wheelchair and it looks like we're just carrying someone out to the ambulance. There we go.
There we go.
Absolutely. You can essentially get Naoki in there, roll them past. You have the sense that they are not looking for specific people, but that they've got some kind of tracker. You three will roll out past them. We'll cut to the pizza van. As you roll the wheelchair up to that, headlights are broken. The bends in it. The sweet tomato sauce has spilled all over the inside, and it's kind of a mess. You muted.
At least it's not blood. So,
Sure.
All right. Still, it is just way towards Hanzo's. So let's use it.
I need you to make a driving roll, Lori's. One of the things is that once you imagine that each of the neighborhoods, each of the sections are fairly self-contained. There's been a lot of damage in the city. When things happened on May 4th, a couple of airliners went down in the area. We've had, bus accidents that you guys found out about last time. There's just been a mess, and there's no Google Maps. There's no tracking. So this is about trying to get over to an area you don't usually go to, and essentially assessing what the challenge is, and mostly about the time it takes to get there.
Okay. So this would be perception or?
Yeah, I like perception.
Yeah. So, okay. I will roll 2 dice and hope they are accommodating. So I got a 7. I add the 4 to it, and that gives me an 11.
Okay. So I think it will take you several hours to get over there rather than all day. I think essentially traffic is snarled up in several places. There's, a set of problems where one of the subway stations has had to be cleared. And that's disrupted people's commute, and that's still snarled up. You'll hit some areas where the roads ought to be intact, but they aren't. You can see at least one place where clearly some kind of security mech had an incident and went down, and there's a big crater there, and that requires redirecting and so on. And essentially the police are redirecting, but there's no coordination between them particularly well. So they direct you down an area, and then you get to another area and the person is trying to direct you back where you came from. But eventually you will get to Odaiba, to that area. It is green. Not a pleasant like foresty green. It is the green of algae and slime and the inside of aquariums that have not been cleaned in a long time. That sort of care has seemed to have fallen away here. Some of the buildings do have sprays to prevent that. So rather than the algae forming on it, it kind of slides down and forms pools around on the sidewalk. There's the smell of the ocean, but it's also mixed with diesel fuel from boats and rotting smells, and it's a deeply unpleasant place. It is definitely an area of quiet desperation, and everything here is damp. So would you head straight to Hanzo's? Would you check out the area? Would you hit the streets? How do you want to proceed?
Well, we've been driving for a while, so I think we probably need to have lunch. Then we can talk to people about what's going on. I want to confirm some things and see if we can figure out what the spirit is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it agreeable?
I definitely think I would defer to Makoto's judgment on this, because Akari's kind of like, this place is awful. Let's just do what we need to do and leave. But if you're, no, let's reconnoiter a little bit, make sure we know what we're getting into.
So what kind of place would you go to, Makoto?
Oh, we're by the sea, and it's a place I actually would probably go to, like, let's see here. The thing that they're most likely to have that's good is not going to be sushi or something, but like where they have a seafood, like soups and stuff like that, like something that would be from the catch. They're looking for that.
Some kind of fish long-term broth. A lot of that stuff, it's picked up here. It's black market because a lot of the food stuff is controlled. And of course, the general thing are the vats that create the krill feed that people eat. But yeah, you can find some things that actually have flavor here. You've worked in the restaurant fast food enough that you can kind of spot the place that might be good. And so you slide into one of these places. It doesn't even have a touch screen. There's no push the button, get your ticket thing like that. So it's very retro. You actually have to go up and order. And they've got that thing where they've got mismatched bowls. Like here's a nice, a plastic bowl with patterns on it. And here's a piece of Tupperware. And they essentially just give you a big couple of ladlefuls of that, along with some essentially pressed grain crackers to go with it. And it's better than the food you've had.
Almost worth the drive. Are there people here to talk to then?
Exactly what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely a neighborhood place for the people in the know, and a gathering point. We probably get some eyeballs when you come in and people don't know you, but they go back to what they're doing. So yeah. Akari, did you want to try and talk to somebody?
Well, I'm noticing if we're power gaming, Makoto has the best empathy of any of us. But I definitely think that, yeah, Akari would also be trying to, it's nice to be able to have this food as a comfort in such trying times.
Yeah. So let's have you roll empathy if you're going to try and we can have each of you do this, and as an information gathering tactic.
I'm guessing charisma for that.
Yeah, that seems right.
It's 7 thanks to the 5 empathy, but snake eyes on the roll.
At least the ones come in as a roll there.
Yeah, not as 4s.
So I do think you're a little bit cleaner and a little bit better presented and look just like you're just a little bit too high class for them to be comfortable with. You're a rank above.
Hello, fellow kids, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Though you do have street contacts too. That's another thing that we can use going forward. But yeah, they nod, they agree, they go back to their soup. Makoto, you are muted.
I know. So I think she's much more fused about the soup. She's like, so good, so good. I haven't had anything with flavor in a long time. And she turns around to the other people that are here and she's like, you get to eat this every day?
And is your goal to kind of insinuate yourself to
Yeah.
say, okay.
Yeah, to like start out with that, that they are lucky in this. And then they can tell me their tales of woe. But
Let's have you roll empathy.
okay, and I have a reroll lowest, so. And then that's based on which
Charisma.
Charisma 3. Okay, so I got a couple of 3s. I'll reroll one of these, the first one. So that's a 4. But it's a 4, it counts as 4, not as 0. So that's 9 plus 3 plus, so it's 12 plus my empathy, which is a thing.
7.
7. So 19?
So I think, you engage in a conversation, you talk with people, and eventually this bearded, like has longer beard than usual, and with the kind of tied up, almost dreadlocks in his beard there, close cropped hair on the sides, person comes over, and they have like a popo like a jacket on, and they're clearly a delivery driver, and essentially they're like, is that your pizza truck out front? And they settle in at your table because space is crowded, and are clearly interested in talking.
Okay.
They will sit down, and they will introduce themselves as Stan.
Stan? Awesome. So, and the first thing that, she asks Stan about is like, should she try to move here?
And he's like, oh no, you don't want to move here. I mean, if you guys are from in city, it's just a mess around here. I mean, soup's nice. There are a couple of other places that you can get some real food at. There's actually a pizza place where they've got a source on some squid, and they'll do a squid or squid ink pizza, and it's pretty good. But otherwise, man, this place is just depressing. It's a mess around here. Lots of shit going down.
It's like that everywhere. What kind of shit?
And he will kind of talk around the topic. And the one thing that he does mention is that, I don't know, they've had more bodies wash up in the canals than usual. And a lot of people around here think there's some kind of serial killer out there.
She goes, so not gangs, but just, she goes, because like in her city, it would be gangs.
No, gangs, I mean, unless they're just crazy, they're just, out to kill people. The people who are showing up are just ordinary folks. A couple of canal fishermen, a school teacher, and others, people who wouldn't even be on a gang's radar. And it's not like they just fell in and drowned, because what I heard is there's like real signs of a struggle.
Ugh. And okay, so she's got that. I think she will ask him about other things peripherally, but she'll ask him about the shrines around here.
Because there aren't around here.
There used
There
to
aren't
be
any in
some?
this neighborhood. Yeah.
Which ones?
And he names a couple, and he says they left, or people went there and the caretakers just weren't there anymore. Naoki, this guy seems pretty open and amenable to the conversation, with the 19, which is a hella margin of success. He's even accepting of Akari as a fellow kid, at this point. Anything you want to say? Ask. What do you think, Naoki?
Didn't unmute me the way it did previously. Yeah, you can evidently hold the space bar to do a temporary unmute, and it didn't work this time around.
Huh.
So I think Naoki is actually sort of standing back and watching to see who's watching Makoto.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's have you roll investigation with searching there.
Okay, because she sort of stands out, so I thought that might draw somebody's attention, and I want to see who's and how they react. There's a roll for your party. Okay, so I know it'll be 2 dice. Or did I boost it? Boosted searching. Ha!
Yes.
3 dice. Maybe I'll succeed.
Get more 4s.
Well, I got 1 6, a 3, and a 1, so I could roll another die. Boom, and that came up with 3. So I got 6, 7, 13 plus my skills. So that's 13. So that's 18.
Okay. I think you will see, there is a big guy here. You're kind of not sure what he's like, but he when he goes to stand up, he looks like he might be half Thai, maybe half Caucasian. You're not sure, but he's kind of a big guy, and he's been watching, listening, and definitely when the sort of the shrine stuff comes up, he kind of finishes his soup, leaves the bowl and slides out. People give him wide berth when he slides out and heads out front. What do you want to do?
I think I want to signal Makoto that I'm, to let her know that I'm following somebody, and we can meet up later or catch up later. And I'm going to shadow the guy.
Okay. The guy, first of all, goes out, and him kind of look around, and he sees the pizza truck. and you do see he walks over and he walks around it. And you see him kind of stop at the front and take a look at one of the broken headlights. And kind of stares at that for a second, and you see him actually take out his phone, and he goes to take a picture of it.
As in just the headlight or the whole?
Just the headlight. It's the headlight
car.
of the two. It's the headlight of the two that still has some of that warding symbol etched in it.
Okay.
And he takes a snap of that, puts that in his pocket, and then he heads out if you want to shadow him.
Yeah, I want to see where he goes.
Okay. Akari, do you want to ask Stan anything?
No, I don't think I want to mess with Makoto's flow, but I am listening intently, and I feel like, given his information, I'd be interested to see the bodies. But I feel like just throwing out there, hey, where do you keep these dead bodies, would not be the kind of question I'd want to ask him.
Well, I think that if you can probably parse out from his conversation that he's heard, because it's spooky things, he's going to tell you that they had like too many bodies. They can't immediately move them along. They have to do investigation procedures. So the police had to essentially set up an abandoned grade school, like a little like kindergarten school, and that they're using that to store the bodies. He thinks that's particularly creepy, so he makes sure to add that detail to it.
You want to know how bad things are? You've got an impromptu morgue in our kindergarten.
And he was abandoned, so I know, like, they probably still got the like drawings on the walls and stuff. How freaky is that, man?
That is freaky.
Makoto, do you have another question for him? I'll give you one or two more here.
Yeah, I'll ask him if there's like if there's a place in town that like everyone says that's where the like that gives them the heebie-jeebies or something like that. The place that feels the most dangerous. Because he's doing the whole spooky story thing. So
he alludes to that there's this weird occult shop, called Hanzo's, and like weird people come into the neighborhood from outside and go there, and then often it's people give it wide berth. The other place is the haunted bathhouse. Like, it's all boarded up and stuff. People say that they hear things in there. It's abandoned, but they hear people moving in there. They say they hear laughter from it at night. That's what I heard.
That's creepy.
It's super creepy. And he will say, well, I got to take off. He says, why don't you give me your digits?
You know what? She will.
Okay. And he'll pull out his phone. He'll give you his number.
All right.
And he will take off, takes the last little bit of his soup, gets all of it in before he heads out, and then gives you the peace out sign.
All right. And I actually treat the soup the exact same way, because something with this much flavor, not got to leave behind. I'm sorry, the cat is crazy tunes today.
I like the tail just briefly hanging over there. That's very good. Naoki, let's have you make a shadowing roll.
Let's see, shadowing, I have a 5 with nothing special. Okay. Okay, that's, oh, wait, I got a 6. I got to reroll. Yay.
Right.
So that's 11, 13, 18.
So you see this guy go into the area around Hanzo's, and you actually see him go through what's clearly an off the beaten path side door into Hanzo's. You're certain that's where he's gone. And he's certain that this is kind of not well known, and it's no surveillance cameras or anything around here. He heads in, and with an 18, I think you'll see him do the punch code.
That's what I was going to ask.
Doesn't protect his pin, and it's like, beep, 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 it's 1111110.
Okay. Not a musical code. Okay.
No. And are you going to follow? Are you going to head back to the group?
No, I'm going to follow.
Okay. All right. I think that you can punch that code in, hit that. We hear the door click. And I think that's where we're going to take our 5-minute break. And we will come back after 5. So, Naoki, you can get in, not a problem. You've got the code, and you'll come into what appears to be like a partially a storeroom and partially maybe a place where people sit around to play mahjong or talk. There's lots of uh, vape bottles around here. There's the tiles spread out, chips, but there's also junk on the shelves and thing. It has that smell of a place where dudes just hang out and don't bother to clean it. And there's another door that clearly leads deeper into the shop. What do you want to do? Do you want to try and sneak around?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to try and see if I can overhear anything by getting closer.
Sure. Let's have you make a sneaking roll.
Ooh, this one's with mastery. I forget what that means.
Mastery.
One of your rolled 5s may explode. Okay. Ooh, I got a 5.
Oh, good.
And then a 1. So that makes it a 15, I think, actually.
I think we will see on screen you moving into the store itself.
16, sorry.
Imagine that it's a place that wants to create atmosphere, so it's not particularly brightly lit. There's lots of shelving back here in the store area, and you'll kind of move up from here. There are clearly a couple back rooms as well, but you move up towards the beaded curtains that lead out into the shop itself. And you will hear this guy talking to somebody, and essentially he says, yeah, there was some girl. She was asking about the shrines, about stuff, and I went out to look, and she had one of these things on her headlight, and you told us to keep an eye out if we saw anybody asking questions or with that kind of stuff. What does it mean? And you'll hear this voice, and it's very controlled, like unmodulated, and it says, you don't need to worry about that. Thank you for bringing this to me. Go back out and tell the boys to keep an eye out. Probably somebody who's looking for the shop, but they're too nervous to come in directly. Tell you what, how about you get Nagao, tell him about this, and if he sees them, he can try and charm them into coming. This guy's like, okay, I'll go tell Nagao. I think he's at the bathhouse right now. And okay, go tell Nagao. And this work guy goes out the front, doesn't come back through the back way, but clearly goes to go out the front. What do you want to do, Naoki?
And the bathhouse was another area that was indicated as being a problem area. So I think I'll follow the guy to the bathhouse to see who this Nagao is.
Okay. So they need to head back out the door you came in, unless you want to go past the owner. to go out the front like this guy did.
Yeah, no, I was planning on the back, but I do want to get a look at this guy. I want to see if his hair is moving.
Okay. Then let's have you roll sneaking, because I think this is a whole nother question.
Whole other thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, not quite as good. So that's an 8, 9 plus the skill. So that's 9 plus 6 is. Oh wait, sneaking. Yeah, 15.
So that's still really good. You will get yourself to a spot, maybe where you keep yourself back, but you maybe use a mirror or something to kind of see, and you will see this older guy, shaven head. He's also clearly half Japanese, half something else. Like you can tell. But he could probably, if he worked at it, pass. And he is seated there, and he's got some boxes on the counter in front of him, and he is like moving materials between these boxes, and you can see that the other thing is that he has a scar that comes down one side of his face, and he's kind of humming to himself, and this side of his face doesn't move at all. Does that seem like a reasonable answer? Okay. Akari, did you want to go to the kindergarten?
The kindergarten morgue. I mean, not a regular kindergarten. That'd be weird.
Yeah. So you've got the description of where the area is at. It is locked, but this is not a place that people are trying to necessarily keep absolutely secure. And you will go into this place. The AC is clearly cranked in one of the rooms, like as you move through. It looks like this school must have been abandoned in midday. There's still the little cubicles with shoes and things in them, little backpacks laying there, lots of hand-drawn pictures of Pocket Bakemono characters, and you'll move through, and eventually you'll come to the room that is kind of sealed up, and there are 7 bodies wrapped up in what you'll recognize as kind of freezer bags. They've got some materials in them that keep the contents cold. It's not a great preservative solution, but it will last for at least a couple of weeks. And they're laid out on the floor next to each other. The desks have been moved off to the side from this room. And there's a big chalkboard with a lesson plan written on it. So you want to examine these?
First, let me ask, is Makoto there, or did she head elsewhere?
That's a good question. Makoto?
I'm definitely there.
Oh, thank God. I don't know what I'm going to find. So I will move in to take a look at one of the bodies and see what's what.
Let's have you go ahead and roll medicine. I think we've erased your surgery skill, though.
It was the cat.
Oh, there's medicine. Okay, so I'm not seeing medicine. Oh, surgery went away at some point?
Yeah, I think that accidentally. I think you had. Let me see here. I've got it in another sheet
I
here.
remember it might have been a 7 at this point. It was something ridiculously high because I raised medicine.
Yeah, I think you've got a 7 in that with expertise.
But I never need to surgery anyone.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to let you use surgery for this. It's so crazy.
And expertise was re-roll lowest die. If you rolled the 1, got a 1. So that would be 16.
So let me give you the sort of most pertinent info, and then if you want to ask a follow-up. The thing that strikes you beyond the bloating of the bodies from death, clearly not in the water for a long time, so there's none of that effect that you sometimes get with corpses. Clearly drowned, but the thing that strikes you is the bruising on all of these bodies, like all over, like they were in a wrestling match when they were drowned.
Pre-death bruising, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I have time to look at several bodies, do I notice any patterns across them as far as where these bruises are?
Yeah, like they're fairly consistent, like where the marks and things are, like someone has a pattern, like a style of how they're doing this, and pretty strong. Like the bruising is pretty significant.
So these guys picked a fight with Steamroller and lost, it looks like.
Yeah. The thing that will strike you is on a couple of these, you can almost get like a handprint from the force of the grabbing. And then on a couple of these, you'd almost say that the hands are different sizes that were doing the grappling. So there may be more than one person doing this to them, or doing this whole pattern. Akari, I'm going to give you a follow-up.
I was muted. As far as I can tell, it seems like human-sized hands.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And I want to look at the hair.
The hair is normal. It's not been infected. It is not motive. And you kind of do a quick check, and it doesn't look like there's any kind of nanite infections or anything in there.
All right. So it looks like these folks were beaten up, tossed in the canal. Were they all found in the canal? I forget that part now. And drowning was the cause of death. No obvious connections as far as nanites or hair.
No.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to, as best I can in the time that I have before we need to move on, figuring out if there's any commonality between these people as far as age or any kind of physical feature or mutations or anything.
No, they look like incredibly normal people, differing ages. There's no commonality in terms of I mean, the class is all the same because it's clearly locals, but there's no other commonality there. It feels very random to you. Makoto?
Yes.
Let's come to you. Watching Kari do her work.
Yeah. And I can see the drowning, and I'll ask her the questions, like were they in the water long, that kind of thing. So I guess, legends or occult to try to figure out what it might be. I mean, I know about Kappa, I know about some of the drowning ladies, those kinds of things, but that's me. I want to know
let's
what
have you
Kuro would know.
roll legends with intelligence.
Okay. And accuracy means I get a +4 if I succeed. So, intelligence. Rolling the first two. Ugh. So 1 and a 5 gives me a 6. That is not very good.
And what is your legends?
Oh, that's 8. So that gives me
And you also have
14.
accuracy with that. Okay.
Yeah, so
This doesn't seem like drowning ladies. Drowning ladies, that sort of myth is about luring people in and then pulling them under. But the Kappa, those creatures, they haunt the waterways, rivers, canals, and they're all about wrestling in the legends. They challenge their victims to wrestling matches. They wrestle their victims and drown them. It is absolutely their instinct. And again, the Kappa themselves are almost like green, scaly humanoid creatures. Sometimes they're depicted with kind of a beak, sometimes not. The sort of legendary weakness that they have is that they have a bowl of water that is their head has a depression and is a bowl of water, and that if somebody is successful wrestling them, essentially they spill that water.
and how do they usually pick their victims? Is it just someone moving by or territorial or what?
People walking by their body of water.
Would more than one of them, like, are they solitary or are they group? And as far as wrestling, because it looks like there are multiple sets of handprints on some of these bodies.
Well, actually, let me correct myself on that. It looks like each one is done by one person, but it looks like two different size hands. So like victim A, B, and C might have the same hand size from the attacker, and D through G has a different size. And they do tend to be solitary.
So potentially 2 Kappa, if that is what we have going on.
Correct.
Which may not be tied into what we're dealing with as far as the Okada-kun.
Truth. She goes, though, I do wonder with that bathhouse.
If only we had someone headed in that direction right now.
Check our phones. Oh, we do.
Let's cut that scene. Naoki, you follow this guy. He heads down to through the maze. You kind of gone out back the side and kind of wait to where you know he would have to come out. You see him come out, and then you go to follow. It's a couple of blocks. I will have you make a shadowing roll, just because it's kind of important detail. But he's clearly not looking for pursuers.
Ooh. So I rolled 4 plus shadowing 5, so that's a 9.
It's mostly because this area here is kind of dense and crowded and a mess that you're able to kind of keep out of line of sight. Eventually he gets to an area that is definitely has a feel of abandoned. Like the building that's attached to this bathhouse is abandoned. It's one of those, it's a very basic bathhouse, but the doors are, shut. There's graffiti on the front of it. Whereas elsewhere you go around, there are like augmented reality advertisements and blipverts, and ocular readers to pop things up. It's very quiet around here. But it's a substantial sized bathhouse. You guess there must be, maybe a back entrance and so on. And you will see this guy you're following walks down a side alley, actually kind of has to turn himself and slide sideways, and then goes in through a side door into this building. Do you follow him in?
Using my ELO, I guess I want to see, is there another way in that I could use? Is there like a convenient skylight above that might give me a view, or something like that? Or
there probably is some kind of skylight to let in some of the natural light into this. Probably filthy by this point, but you could try and climb up on top and do that. Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah, because I don't think like following him in twice will work. That just doesn't seem.
Absolutely.
That seems like bad karma.
Let's have you make an athletics roll.
Okay. Yeah, something I'm not that good at. Okay. Maybe I'll get lucky and get double sixes. Nope. That'll be a 7. No, wait, an 8. Sorry.
So I think you will get up on top of this, but I think this takes some time. Like you have to wait and move and get up on top of this thing, and it is not fun. But eventually you will get up on top of there, and kind of as you're up on top, you will see that side door open again, and you will see another guy come out along with the first guy you're following. The new guy looks like he's good looking. He's a good looking guy. He and the guy you're following clearly head out. Your sense of it is that they're heading back to the area, around that soup place to maybe kind of take a look around. And you're guessing that this is the guy that he was told to grab.
Nagao. Okay, I'll take a surreptitious photo and send it to Akari and Makoto. So say these people are looking for you, so that they know who to be on the watch out for. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and go inside and take a look around inside the bathhouse.
All right, we will come back to you. I'm going to say in the time that it is that you've eaten up getting up on top of this thing, Akari, Makoto, would you head over to the bathhouse, or have another location you want to head towards, given that Naoki has informed you?
What do you think? It would probably be the bathhouse or Hanzo's, and I don't know that we want to go to Hanzo's without being full strength.
Yeah. So let's try the bathhouse. So Naoki can get a check-in, look and see if there's someone still in there, but maybe we can get a look around there. Hopefully that's not where the Kappa are, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You two will head over area, and as you get nearby, you will get that text with the picture of Nagao from Naoki. So I think, Makoto, I'm going to have you make a sneaking roll.
Okay, I will try that. Let's see here.
Let's say dexterity.
Oh, that's unkind. So we're sneaking physical.
We'll say reflex. We'll say reflexes. How about
reflexes? Oh, that's much kinder. Thank you. All right. So 8 plus 6 is 14.
So you and Akari will spot these two. You have the picture and they proceed to amble around the neighborhood, like walking around, looking, checking in places, maybe talking to people who are selling things around here. They're taking it very easy. They clearly don't think that they're under any kind of pressure or anything like that. And they begin to move around, so you can get past them, and you will see that bathhouse. By the time you make your way over to there, there's a front door that looks like it's locked, sealed. There's a side door down a kind of a sideways alley, and Naoki's up on top of the building.
Right. We'll check in with Naoki.
So, Naoki, you're getting ready. We can go in, and Akari and Makoto can text you to tell you that they are on site.
Okay, well, I guess I'll pick whatever the easiest entrances I can find.
Well, you could break a skylight.
No, I've got lock picking.
Okay.
I'll look for a door I can pick.
Okay. Let's have you roll lock picking.
Okay. I always have to check and see if I've got anything special on it. Yes, I've got a boost. Yay. Oh, that worked out well. I got a 5, a 5, and a 6.
Oh, nice.
And then, of course, I roll a 4 with a reroll, so that doesn't help. So
yeah, the 6 reroll. Yeah, unless you have expertise. Okay.
Yeah, no. So, but that makes it still 10, 16, plus whatever the skill was. So 21.
Yeah, I think you can get to the skylight. It's locked a bit because it would have been for climate control, so it's a little bit automated. You will pop that. The window, the plastic windows they have here are absolutely covered with dirt and debris and stuff that has fallen on it. But you'll open it up, and you can look down inside, and you'll see that lobby, essentially the sort of shared common lobby of this place. And there are doors, entryways that go back into this, that kind of split male and female. It's old. It's in very bad shape. There's some moldy towels and things and buckets and all of that kind of stuff laying around here. But the thing that strikes you, that you will hear because it kind of echoes up into here, is the sound of splashing and giggling.
Okay. I'm going to lower myself in quietly if possible and try and get close and pop open the front door or the back door to let them in.
All right. I will let you roll sneaking rather than athletics to climb down.
Okay. How many do I roll? Sneaking, 6 mastery. That's the 5s. They don't work in order, right? You don't get all of them as you go up.
No, you just get the one.
Okay, that's what I thought. Still, I rolled a 6 and a 2, so I get another die. Da, da, da.
You guys are having hot dice.
11. So that's a 17.
Okay. Yeah, you can absolutely climb down, grab onto a handhold off to the side, kind of swing yourself down, come down into this area. It is super damp in here. It is super moist around in these areas, and yeah, you'll hear that sound, and you can walk across this stone tile floor over to the front and open it up for Makoto and Akari. Akari,
Do you give us any particular instruction as you open this? Like, you've got presumably more info than we have. Okay. And we can hear the splashing and the laughing when we come in, or is that too far?
When you come in, big, I mean, and you know how marble rooms are, like that kind of stone room where sound carries. And it does. I mean, if you've ever been in a room with a pool, you hear that sound, that echo that comes through. And you'll hear the giggling and light laughter, and yeah, the splashing.
Does it sound human? I don't know if that's a question we can ask.
That's a very good question. Actually, we have you roll empathy.
All right, that's something I like to roll, so I'm okay with that. Those dice did not stay hot, though. Let's see. 11.
They definitely sound like children's voices to you, and not with like lacking anything like a weird vocal undertones or garbledness that would suggest to you that they are particularly completely inhuman. Makoto.
So, is that sort of, is that part of any of the descriptions I've heard of Kappa?
No, this seems you're not just going on here.
All right. I kind of look around to see if there's anything that gives us a sense of like whatever's in there, how it's being fed or kept.
Yeah, why don't you roll occult tech for me?
Okay. It's mastery. What does that do again? Oh, 5's going to explode. Okay. And what am I rolling against?
Let's say intelligence.
Okay. Oof. Horrible. 12.
It's still a good margin of success, at least a moderate success.
Okay.
You will see that in this main room, there are some packages, like clearly handmade, clearly, prepared and put here. And they look like krill cakes, the sort of the bio food stuff. But much like the materials that you found at the apartment, there's clearly some herbal and other things in there, some other materials. And certainly when you're looking at it, these things smell wrong. Like they are tainted or cursed.
Ugh.
Does that sound like a fair answer?
Sounds like a horrible answer, Lowell.
Well, there you go. Naoki.
So I think Naoki is going to try and lead the way to wherever the giggling is. So I guess that says we're going past these boxes.
Sure. And you're going to go over into the ladies' portion of the bathhouse where the splashing is coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to have you make one more sneaking roll. After this, I'm done with sneaking rolls.
Because we won't be able to sneak anymore, right?
Mostly because there's a certain point at which I'm like, I'm not going to make you roll till you die.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a 9. Didn't get any 5s, so that doesn't help. Oh, so that's a 15.
Okay. So I think you will kind of come around the bathhouse. There's the sort of entryway chamber where there's some changing things and again cubicles to leave your stuff. The showers. Others, if they want to, are following behind, and you'll eventually kind of come into the area where it's got the shallow side of the pool house or bathhouse, and then there's actually a deeper pool. And you can see there is a guy seated on a stool, and he has some of these krill food stuff things, and he's kind of tossing them in the water. And you will see there are a group of kids who are splashing around in that water. Some of them have a slightly greenish cast to their skin, like something has started to change with them. Others, you can see, like another one goes under the water and kind of sits under the water for a long time, and when the stuff is thrown onto it, they kind of swim over and catch it and eat bits of it. What do you do?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I don't really want to run out and confront them, but so the guy that presumably cryptic Ishan sent from Hanzo's came here and got the other fella, and they left. So that does seem all to be tied up somehow. So Hanzo's must know about this unless they're pulling something on their employer. But what do they have to gain from having these strange aquatic children in the bathhouse? And what do we want to do about it? How deep do we need to get into this to figure out our problems?
Makoto?
So they're changing regular kids? They're changing children into Kappa?
It looks like that seems to be what's going on.
So this is a problem. And I'm not sure why they want the Kappa unless they simply want to turn this into a hellhole, which is a time-honored purpose. But this has to end. And so I think in some ways oh geez, I don't want to kill a bunch of kids. And you see her kind of start and stop. And I think she's going to go back to the food to see, she's going to have to look at it to see if this is something she can reverse.
Okay. So you go back to the food. Let's have you make a cultist.
Okay. Making that on what? Perception?
Intelligence.
Intelligence. Okay. Oops. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so I got 9. That explodes. So it's 14 plus 8 is 22.
22, you say?
Yes, I say 22.
All right.
That's with a 4 being rolled. So
The material here is very clearly of a kind of a low potency. Clearly one of those things to build up over time. Clearly something that, put out on a mass scale would not be detected for a long time. And the process that is going through here, judging by the visuals on the kids, is not that far gone. Like, if that food can be stopped, then they probably will revert. Like the inertia of whatever occult forces there will pull it back to a normal state.
okay. Sorry.
Substantial honk. Yeah, you can tell that while this is going on, Akari, we'll come back to you to ask you what you're doing. You see Makoto has picked up the food, is looking at it closely, examining it. What do you want to do?
So I'm calculating the odds. There's one guy feeding the kids.
Yeah.
Presumably a goon. Like, seems like the sort of fellow who would be here. I'm wondering, kind of looking at Naoki, like, we could probably take this guy, right? But are those kids going to attack us then? And then we've got a real problem. So I think maybe our best option is to maybe make some noise and try to draw this guy out of where he is and take care of him where the kids won't see what happened to him.
Naoki?
Sure, that works. Before we do that, though, before we draw his attention.
Sure. From the ladies' bathhouse side.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is, can you use the ELO to do facial recognition on the kids to see if we can identify who they are? If any kids have gone missing?
Yeah.
What I'm looking for is their first names also, is just sort of like in case they decide they want to attack us, that we've at least got some emotional leverage on them by knowing their names and their backgrounds.
Then I think let's have you do this with investigation.
Okay.
Because it's more specified, very, very specific information you want there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, specifically investigation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay, got a 6. It explodes. And I get a 4 again when it explodes. That just doesn't help. So that makes it an 11, 14.
So I think you can probably get a couple of names. These kids aren't missing. Like,
okay.
they're not missing children. They are siblings. And you've got the name of a parent, a mother and a father on this, that when you pull it up are listed as fisher people in this area, or at least working on the sea.
Okay. But not deceased fisher people.
That is correct.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, but we've got their names. And I guess
I'm going to ask Akari, I think, how you want to do that drawing out.
I mean, I feel like simple is better at this. Like, get far enough away that he could not investigate just by turning his head and seeing us, obviously.
Okay.
And just like knock over a statue or something conspicuous that someone sneaking around would not have done.
I think that's perfect. I think that seems like a great plan. And let's assume that there's like a coat rack of some kind, like a towel rack, coat rack that's in here, that's a little bit further out that you can knock over, and we'll land with a clamor. Does that seem right?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Makoto, where are you while this is happening? You headed back out? You standing with them?
Oh, I had the food. I had probably stuffed it into a satchel, so I had something to work from to identify what was going on later to more degree. And when Akari knocks the thing over, she probably looks up and so she's at a different angle in the room, but she's paying attention to the doorway now.
So, sort of two things happen relatively simultaneously. One is that guy who's there, you hear him say, hey, hey, no going out. And you'll hear from the men's side of the bathhouse, you'll hear some splashing and like the sound of maybe one or two people coming up out of water and walking with bare feet on poolside concrete. And the sound of footsteps is coming from that side. What do you do, Naoki?
Sorry, which side was it coming from?
So the kids and the guy who's throwing the food were on the ladies' side.
Okay.
You hear him give that shout. And then from the other side, from the men's side,
Okay.
you hear the sound of at least two people coming up out of the water and walking out. What do you do, Naoki? You are muted.
Yeah, I know. Take a drink. How close to the door was the guy sitting in the chair feeding the kids?
Let's say 7-8 feet. Not too far.
Right, but not close enough that I could just like reach in and grab him.
It would take you a few steps, but you could probably get him certainly before the children reacted.
No, I think what I'm going to do is I'm assuming these are different corridors, so I'm going to go to the end of the corridor and peer around it so that I can see these things as they come out of the corridor.
You mean walk around and see what's coming on the men's side?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing, Akari?
I guess I'm going to stick with Naoki because without expecting the two sides at once.
Okay. What about you, Makoto?
I think she picks up the food, like the packages. And she's got that, and I think she's like unwrapped one of them and is holding it out. I mean, like she's got it like in front of her.
That sounds fair. Naoki, Akari, you will see these two people walk out. They are wet. You can see where the water is on them, that their skin has this kind of greenish, almost scaly look, but they're still human. They are, they have bathing suits that are kind of, unkempt. You can see that they look kind of sick. And definitely it looks to you like something is wrong with their heads, like something happened there. And Naoki, you recognize them from the pictures of the mother and father that you pulled up there. And you see they're kind of hunched and they are coming forward, like they're coming out to look and see what is going on out there. And they're going to be out here in just a moment. Akari, what do you do?
Did you share the information about the parents and the kids?
Let's assume yes.
Yeah, let's assume we have some easy way to do that.
Okay. Then like just move forward. Like I was ready to fight because I was like, oh, are these going to be goons or whatever? Kind of like drop that. And be like, oh my, you're here. You're alive. You're children. We have to help you.
Let's have you make an empathy roll.
Do I have a single empathy? No. 18.
So you kind of step and shout that out to them. You are clearly not who they expected. The two of them stop, and they actually kind of turn their faces down, like they don't, and they're this kind of grunting is like, "Who are you? What do you? What? Why? What are you here?" And they're kind of shambling, like almost looks like the male of the two is kind of coming forward, like maybe against his own will, like your presence there is kind of drawing him towards you. But they are kind of have stopped in mid progress there. Naoki, what do you do?
So are they looking aggressive?
It's really hard to tell. Akari, clearly her words have kind of brought them up short, like they're struggling to figure out what's going on, and maybe against their own impulses. The male is definitely moving forward, but very slowly. The woman's probably kind of trying to cover herself up and kind of trying to keep her face away. What do you do?
I think I try and add to it, to what Akari already opened, but using their names, but we never mentioned their names. But
right.
So just assume so. Sir, we can help you. We know what's going on. Your food has been contaminated. They're hurting your kids. They're changing your kids into kappa.
Saved the kids. Sick. Kids sick, saved them. Now they can survive. Everything's falling apart, but they can live. They can live in the ocean. What do you do, Makoto?
Is he fighting his impulse to attack?
Oh, yeah. There's water. You are here. These two adult kappas are trying to keep themselves from coming forward and killing Akari and Naoki.
Okay. I think I'll give them more of an excuse to do that and essentially put down a ward, a thing that will give them an excuse to step away, if I can do that.
Sure. Let's have you roll a cultist.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you what the third guy does.
Yes. The third guy, you mean the one in the room with the kids?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm waiting for the gunshot, but just okay. And then okay, so and my cultist is going to be rolled with will, I assume?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to use one of Haruto's dice. Okay, so 10, 16 plus 8 is 24, yes? Yes, 24.
Oh, yeah. You what is it? Tell me what that looks like. When you set this word down, that kind of holds them from going forward. What do we see?
It's the thing is she's known that it's these Shinto things, so she's got the Shinto rice rope and all of that stuff. And she essentially does the thing where she ties it around one of the things in the, let's say,
like a pole?
Yeah, like a pole. You know how they have the entryways and there's like the sort of banister things right there at that point. She ties it to that, and then she ties it to another one, so it's tied to the structure. then essentially it just keeps them on the other side from where Akari is.
That seems
Okay.
that seems absolutely perfect to me. Oops, let me redo that. So that's that. Let me reroll that. And then let me reroll that. Wow. Okay, now it's a 2. So you get that stopped, and they freeze in place. Like it doesn't necessarily clarify anything, but Naoki, Akari, you'll feel safe. Like they were coming forward, and you had that sense of like a predator approaching. She does that warding, and they stop. Like they stop completely moving forward. And it's about that time that the guy steps out and shoots you, Makoto. For 16 points of damage.
Okay.
Like hits you, fires off this pistol, hits you in the back. And that is what's called a serious wound.
Yes.
Meaning that you're at a 1 die penalty.
Okay.
Until you have a chance to catch your breath. Akari, there's a moment of relief as these 2 weird Kappa people are stopped, and then you hear the gunshot and you see Makoto kind of drop. What do you do?
Does that affect the ward, or is
The ward is, she rolled hugely. The ward is unaffected by that.
So I don't know as much about medicine and trauma as Akari would. Would moving Makoto now be a terrible idea? Because I would like to get her out of the way of.
It is cinematic, so yes, you could get her out of the way.
Okay. I feel like, from what I know about medicine, it's don't move people, but if they're shooting at you, it might be good.
Let's have you roll your trauma surgery here.
Intelligence?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. This is going to take a minute.
Sure.
Okay. Not as long as I hope. 24.
Oh, yeah. Your instincts take over. Like I imagine that you've probably done shooter drills, given the problems here, or attacker drills here since the incident, and you immediately grab, apply a derm, apply pressure, and pull her back behind a low wall, and you absolutely get Makoto out of the way before this guy can even kind of get a bead to let off another shot. Naoki, what do you do?
So where is he in relation to me?
He is maybe 15, 16 feet away from you, not that far.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 5 meters.
Fine. Yeah, I can work with meters.
Okay.
So since he's not focused on me, I'll quickly. And where is the door to the kids in relation to me and him? Am I between him and the kids? I assume not.
No, he has stepped out of that doorway that leads to the ladies' side, maybe gotten a foot or 2 out from that way, and then shot Makoto. So he is definitely between you and the kids.
Okay, so then I'll pull out my handgun and screaming no, and and start shooting him.
Okay, let's have you roll handguns.
Handguns 6 with a boost. Yay! Something with a boost. Please no 4s. Please no 4s. one 4, but one 6.
Okay.
So, exploding. Whoops, that did not explode. There, exploding. Came up with 4. That didn't help. Okay, so that is an 8 plus a 6, so that's a 14.
Okay. Roll me 3d6 plus 1. These are just straight d6.
Okay. 3d6 plus 1, you said.
Yep.
Okay. So that's 12.
12. So that you fire this 9mm pistol, it comes out. We hear the whir that does that nanochip jammer to keep the gunshot tracker from going off. Of course, it echoes in here like hell. And you shoot him, and like he grabs his side and kind of falls off, and he's going to try and take a shot at you, but you can tell you hit him, and if he doesn't get treatment, he's going to die. I'm going to roll 1d6. Let's see, I'm going to take this last yellow dot. I'm going to move it down. I'm going to reroll selected. Well, that's a 6. And 3, so 9, and plus 5 is a 14. And what is your defense number? Is a 14. So roll those 2 dice. You're going to take 7 points of damage, Naoki, as he gets this shot off. So there's an exchange of gunfire there. Makoto, what do you do? Akari has pulled you out behind this wall to safety.
Yeah, no, she's sort of struggling to get up and get a look, and I think she looks at him and at Akari and goes, "We may not have to kill them. We just have to understand what's going on here."
Sorry, did you say, do you mean I have to kill them?
No, we may not have to kill them.
Oh, okay. Got it. It seems like they were ill and maybe dying before this. The parents wanted it.
And she goes, "They were talked into it." And she kind of goes, "But only the Hanzo crew knows what's going on."
It all comes back to them. What are the Kappa parents doing? Are the Kappa kids still in the pool?
Yeah, though you don't hear the splashing anymore or laughing because they're hearing these big gunshots. But you don't even hear the sound of them. Like, this has clearly panicked them. You guess they've probably kind of gone in the water or probably hiding in the water over there. The Kappa parents are still kind of held by that ward. They're watching this and are kind of fighting their instincts there, but they haven't broken out of that yet.
What am I doing? I think that I'm going to get up to try to see if we can. She clearly wants to subdue the gang guy, the Hanzo gang. I don't know what else to call him.
Essentially the mafioso here who shot you in the stomach.
Yes, I want to know what's going on.
Rather. How would you subdue him?
I mean, she's not in any kind of shape, right?
That's right. You're at a -1 die penalty.
Exactly. I don't know. I think that's it. Is that she's kind of like trying to crawl towards him, if that makes any sense. That's
okay.
Give him something to look at.
Akari, you see your patient like trying to crawl out from behind this wall to get in the middle of this firefight.
Yeah, I definitely want to restrain you from that, Makoto. There's nothing you can do out there. Let Naoki take care of it.
Yeah, okay.
I think we get that dramatic thing where you start to move out there. Akari pulls you back, she's still trying, I assume, to staunch the bleeding and all of that, right?
Yeah, but I can't see it, so I get
Okay.
a sense of drama on it.
That shock and stuff. Yeah, I think Akari, you can, given her weakened state, you can easily hold her in place. Naoki.
I think I'm going to close the distance to the henchman and with my gun out and basically do the thing where I put it under his chin. Say, it doesn't have to end now, but it's easier for me if it does. You did not.
Let's have you roll intimidation.
Yeah, this is why I am. Naoki is not intimidating. Makoto is intimidating.
Right. What did you get?
You can't hear me? A 7.
Oh, a 7. I think that you kind of go to step forward to do that. And you get in close and he kind of smacks your hand away. And he starts sprinting. And he's bleeding, but he starts sprinting for the exit here. Kind of probably slipping on his own blood, even as he's trying to make it out there. He's probably fumbling with his phone as that is happening.
Can I take a quick knee shot?
Yeah, let's have you roll brawling.
Oh, brawling? Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant a shot with your knee. Okay.
No, I mean, you're
Okay.
right. If he's near me, I could do that. You're right. It could be brawling. I could just, take him down that way instead of having to actually shoot him. Sure. That makes actually more sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Does brawling have anything special to it? No. Good. Here. So that is a 6 plus 5, so 11.
11. So roll me a d6.
A 6. Does that mean I get to explode it?
No, but I think that is what you need to be able to hit him and knock him out. The intimidation didn't work, but you hit him, but he's going to be out for a while. It's going to require Akari's skills to be able to keep him from dying. Yeah, he collapses to the floor.
Oh, you're getting a lot of practice today.
Akari, do you start with Makoto or this guy?
Makoto.
Okay, let's have you roll surgery.
And I always forget which weird little boost expertise is.
It's going to let you reroll 4s. 1 4, I guess.
Oh, wait, it's not reroll.
Oh, no.
Reroll lowest,
Reroll lowest die.
and
die.
4 will equal 4.
Well, that actually hindered me by rerolling my lowest die. It got lower. 12.
Wait, you reroll the lowest die and it became lower.
Wait, for those purposes, is 4 the lowest? Because it's nothing? Or was
Yes.
3 the lowest?
4 would be the lowest.
Oh,
It's
okay. Then let me reroll the 4 instead.
Okay.
That makes more sense. Oh, and it became a 6. Wonderful.
Oh, look at that.
23 now. Much better.
Holy cow. So how much are you down, Makoto?
I have 9 points of 35.
Okay. So you're down 26. So let's have you heal half of that. So heal 13.
All right.
Eventually able to apply the derms and get that set. Oh yeah, can give her the nanites. That would absolutely heal her.
But no.
What could go wrong? I mean, we need to know what goes wrong. We need to test for this.
No. I've around too many weird things.
So I think you'll be able to stabilize Makoto, stabilize this gang member, the parents will go back into the water. Like that's where they're more comfortable. When the ward is will kind of keep them there. The kids stay in that pool and kind of keep themselves hidden until you have them come out. They will react. Like if you coax them out, they will eventually come out of there. You guys have enough empathy to do that. And then they'll want to be with their parents.
Okay. But we will ask them about what has happened. When they came to live here? To ask them to tell us the story.
And you will get this narrative about parents, one of many groups in this area, that they were getting sick, their kids were getting sick. They went and no one could figure out what it was, and somebody suggested they go to Hanzo's, and he said he could save the kids, but it would require transformation, and it required changing them first. And what you have the sense is that he changed, using something, he changed the parents, transforming them more deeply into this. Like you have the sense that maybe when they're out of the water, they look a little bit more normal, but they're clearly changed. And then has used their blood to make this food.
And okay. And can we discern any purpose to this? Like, what is it that this has allowed? Not Hanzo. What is his name? The new guy's name is. Eisen.
The Cryptic.
Cryptic Eisen. What has this allowed them to do? What has Cryptic Eisen asked of their family?
Just that the parents will provide the blood, the necessary bloods he needs for what he's doing.
Okay, and they don't mention anything about violence, like their parents fighting or people coming to visit their.
When you press on the parents about what's gone on, it will be very clear that they've been unable to control themselves, that they have been drawn to the canals, and that their instincts have taken over, that they lose control of themselves.
Okay. And she asks about their illness.
And Akari, the parents described the kind of micro plagues that have been going on around the city. The strangeness. We talked about some of the unhealing stuff and the things that you've treated. It's another strain of those things. And you suspect that it's probably treatable, what the kids have, but they're on the lowest rung, and they probably got pushed out because of that and told it was untreatable.
We could do something about the cause, but doing something about this may require a bit more effort. I think it's time we all went to Hanzo's.
And I think, can we get the guy, our thug here, to kind of come around so we can ask some questions?
I think so. I think we do have to kind of go to narrative bits here to kind of ally this into letting you epilogue how this wraps to your satisfaction. Does that seem okay? And I'll tell you what this guy will tell you, and I'll let you play off of that. And he says, Hanzo's just crazy. He does what he does and he pays us well, but he hates this place. He can't go home. Everyone here, all you treat us like trash just because we're foreigners. And Hanzo had enough. He had enough of that. So what would you do with that information, Makoto? What do you think is your step on this first? I mean, or I'll take whoever wants to go first in terms of how you would deal with Hanzo. Does he get away? Do you find him there? How does that work?
Which is the thing. He has all this incredible knowledge. I mean, it sounds weird. He was able to do evil things, but he could do healing things.
Do you want to try to persuade him of that?
I think so. I think that's the first thing she has to try. Does that make any sense? If it goes terribly, then we can all have a bloody beatdown. But I think that would be her first attempt.
So let me ask this question then. I think this will determine how well this works. Makoto puts this forward that she wants to try and persuade this guy because he knows these things, because he can do good with them. Are you down with that approach?
I'm mostly concerned with undoing the bad things he's done, and I feel like we've got 2 of them that we know about, probably. I mean, we can't 100% pin the hair thing on him now, but it seems likely. There may be others that we need to know about before we kill him, and if we could have him just undo it, that's probably easier than figuring it all out ourselves.
So you are leaning towards, at least for the moment, capturing and finding some utility here.
But I think probably with a shorter leash than Makoto is thinking of. If it doesn't work, we'll go to getting rid of him before he does anything bad pretty quick.
Okay. Naoki?
Sure. This is Makoto's area. You can add to sort of the intimidation roll or whatnot by my showing. Remember, we said that my hand has that transparent sort of skin to it. So it could be sort of the hand that holds his throat as we go through this negotiation process.
Yeah. So in that case, let's start. So tell me what that looks like, Naoki. What does it look like going into this place? What does it look like when you get a hold of this guy, get him into your control?
I think what we would do is, since we have the PIN code, if they're agreed to it, I think it would be Akari and Makoto coming in the front door pretty brazenly, maybe with something to show that we know what's going on. And I sneak up behind, coming in through the back door using the PIN code.
Yeah, and you can get up on him. You can get control of him. The rest of the gang isn't here. They're out doing their various business. And so you can get control of him. His other 2 guys are still out looking for Akari and Naoki. You got him tight in control. So Makoto, what does that next part of this look like? What is your pitch here?
And I think my pitch is that I read back to him what he's done. But it's not accusing. It's more like she sort of pays and then you did this. And she goes, we are all trapped here. We are all caught here. And she goes, the only way to leave here, the only way to breathe again is if we can. And she sort of stops and she goes, we have to outlast this. If you're going to commit suicide, commit suicide. But if not, if you want to live, if you want to leave, help.
Kari, how do you back this play, or what do we see as this is going down?
I think behind her, I have the goon's handgun, and I'm just holding it out in front. It's kind of like we're negotiating, but with a stick right now.
And I think he agrees. Like you see him kind of stop. You can see he's been through a lot. Like clearly things have happened to him, and it's almost like this kind of maybe brings it home to him. Like maybe he's been at a distance doing these things, and now the consequences are kind of brought forward to him, and I mean it's still a reluctant agreement, but it's an agreement nonetheless, and one that the three of you can keep control over. So Naoki, in the aftermath of this, of getting Cryptic under your control and so on, what is your epilogue? What do we see in the next week or so?
In the next week or so, Naoki just can't leave it alone. So he's going to use we're going to see him James Bondish, or not James Bondish, probably more Mission Impossible-ish, breaking into the corporation with the janitor key, access key, while it's still active, to see what other research they're doing that could be playing into this.
Absolutely. I mean, the nanites took to this thing so strangely, so weirdly. Perhaps there is something there. And Makoto, what about you?
I think you see her back in that section at one of the old shrines, and she's cleaning it out. And I mean, she's doing it like the whole thing. It's that sort of super, everything is about like cleanliness and mindfulness when she's doing it. And it's her, and she's still kind of, she's got the bandages and everything, but her taking that rag and running it down the board, on the first board, and then down the back, over and over again, getting the shrine clean.
Absolutely. A little bit more daylight that will in there. And then Akari, what do we see from you? What is your epilogue?
I'm picturing the way that the nanites and the spiritual interacted negatively. I'm kind of working on the medical side with Cryptic Ison to try to undo some of what he's done, and like kind of gaining some respect and forming a bit of a bond with him as we work his right hand and left hand on this.
And the sense is that the hair thing like shocks him. Like he had no idea that was going to happen. Like some of this other stuff he's been experimenting with, the Kappa certainly had a clear plan, but the thing with the hair is, I mean, and he would be genuinely shocked to the core about that. And he goes to help, though he's still clearly, there's still that simmering resentment that has to be kind of held in check. And that's where we're going to stop for today, and for this 3-session arc. Thank you all very much for playing through all 3 sessions with this system that can be best described as kooky, I think is the way I want to describe it. If you don't mind, I would take just a quick chance to do a quick stars and wishes. Talk about things you like, talk about things you have questions of, system-wise. Each time we've done this, I've been harsh about the system, and some of the players have been like, oh yeah, it's wild and swinging. Christo, what do you want to say, stars-wise, wishes-wise?
Well, I love the setting. That's always interesting. The whole microplagues of the nano hair. What do you want to call that? Nano hair invasion. The whole setting is very intriguing and draws you in and always creepy. And I guess that might be primarily you. I don't know how much actually comes out of the source book, but I think it sort of kicked you off and then you took it and ran with it. And I think it's very unusual and leaves you wanting more. Let's see. Are we doing both stars and wishes now, or?
Yeah, whatever you feel like.
Wishes. I always want more. I guess I still, it's funny how many times we play this, I still sort of struggle with the okay, I have to roll this and then I have to look at this and figure out, okay, how much do I have to add to it? So it's, I guess I did a lot on a regular basis. This would become natural and not a problem, calculating out the die rolls and whatnot. That still feels a little clunky.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess on a wish side would be to try and figure out if we could make that somehow different without losing it. Because I guess part of the idea is that there's meant to be a
losing some of the charm and of the weirdness of it. Yeah, I don't know. Every time I come and I think about that, and I'm still not sure. I think I have to continue to mull on that. You guys did do better after I gave you some extra experience points.
Oh yeah, that made a huge difference.
I think that says something about the system too. Sherry, stars, wishes?
I always liked the strangeness and horribleness and fragility of this world. It just is so, it's so pushed to the edge, and you do a good job of bringing that forward. I also like the way that the characters become so interdependent on each other, because you are kind of horrible at the things you're horrible at, and you need someone else to be able to do those things. And we're supposed to do the wishes, and I think my wish is sort of a wish for trad systems, that it's when you have that list of skills, what you can do and what you have permission to do is sometimes hidden by a list of things, and you don't know what's going on in the middle between it. Like, I don't know, there's a certain thing with trad systems when I hit them as I can do these things, so I can keep hitting that one note, or I can try something that's outside of it, but I don't know how that gets adjudicated. I don't know if that's going to be better or worse. Yeah, it's just the standard trad thing is it's good, but you go, okay, well, there's going to be these roles, but it doesn't have that explicit permission like the newer story games do of what you do. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems like a fair assessment.
Sometimes. So.
Keith, I'm going to give you last word.
I think for Star, the whole world felt so lived in, and it felt like it was reacting to us and we were a part of it. And I just enjoyed your descriptions of it and using all of the senses, and I really felt present in this very strange place. And that was fun. And I think as far as wishes, it made me want to explore it more. So it would have been cool to have even more extended time to like mess around and say, like, well, what does happen when you go over here? And maybe have some like less mission-y type things or mystery things where like, I don't know, let's go over to the fish market. What's the fish market look like nowadays? Oh, neat. Now I'm following this up. And I might really like to do that in a different system. Just see, like, can you run Apocalypse World and just throw this as the skin? And like, sure, there's a Maelstrom out there. That makes sense with this weird event. And how well would that work as opposed to all the strangeness that we've well documented in the Kuro system itself?
Yeah, I think this would be fascinating to do in a system that gave you more time to tour, like even the Veil or something like that, just to kind of wander around and see what it feels like would be fun, because there is so much. There's so much potential here for really interesting bits. So I agree with you on that. Thank you all very, very much. I love running this because it is so wild, and it's not like anything else out there in a lot of ways. And I am going to go ahead and stop the streaming.